Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Uber files racketeering lawsuit alleging auto insurance related fraud. So recently I got an email from one of my subscribers. BC, thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. And they are sending me a couple of different things about how Uber is just suing everybody, it seems like. Between Doordash and their lawsuit, which I already made a video on, and Uber for racketeering insurance companies, which a part of me almost wants to call it that as well, to be perfectly honest. I'll go into that in a bit. So with that said, we are talking about everything that is being said in this article, how it actually is for Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. This story is Uber doublespeak, trying to take advantage of public opinion towards insurance companies and lawyers to hide their true intentions to virtually eliminate insurance protection of its riders on rideshare. Okay, but to be fair, insurance companies and lawyers actually do take advantage of people too. The fact of the matter is that does happen. It happened to me recently, like very recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if both of these truths are real. So let's acknowledge that as it is. Let's get into the article. Uber Technologies is reportedly suing a group of law firms, doctors, and pain management clinics alleging they staged car accidents and performed medically unnecessary surgeries. The ride-sharing firm's racketeering lawsuit alleges that the defendants aim to take advantage of New York's no-fault insurance policies, which enable drivers and passengers to get reimbursed quickly after an accident and have done so since at least 2019, Bloomberg reported Thursday, January 30th. I feel like insurance fraud works on so many different pathways to where there is actually a lot of truth to it. Great example of this is actually one of my insurance companies that I'm working with, Progressive Commercial. They tried to up the cost of my insurance policy to such a grand degree without my consent and for the most ridiculous reasons. I'm going to make a separate video on that because it is egregiously horrible the way that went down. There is a truth to where insurance fraud does happen. I remember there was a couple that stopped short at a yellow light and then tried to take advantage of the insurance policies and get as much money as possible from those people. So these things do happen. And don't even get me started on the doctors and pain management clinics. We'll be here forever. A similar racketeering suit was filed in December by New York City's largest taxi insurer, American Transit Insurance Co. According to the report, ATIC, which is insolvent and had $700 million in net losses in the second quarter of 2024, has blamed its difficulties in part on the sort of fraud it and Uber are alleging in their separate lawsuits. It sounds like they had a lot of losses to begin with, and they didn't actually acknowledge it until it was too late. And then by the time they acknowledged it, they were 700 mil down, which they should have caught on to that much sooner, but there are negligent businesses out there. In a September public announcement posted on its website, ATIC said it is working tirelessly to address long-standing issues of statutory solvency amid rampant insurance fraud and escalating costs. Here's the reality though, there is a lot of insurance fraud that is happening these days to where it is crazy. Uber sued ATIC in 2024, alleging that the insurer's practices resulted in crash-related lawsuits being filed against Uber and its drivers, Thursday's Bloomberg report said. So wait, Uber was one of the companies that sued ATIC, and now ATIC is also suing New York City. I do feel like the law enforcement community needs to crack down on fraud in this country. Like, I really do think that needs to take place. There's so much insurance fraud that happens to where you can't blame the drivers and the companies they work with anymore. There needs to be a foot being put down somewhere. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said that the rising insurance costs have led to higher costs for consumers, contributing to a slowdown in Uber bookings, and he will push for insurance and tort reform per the report. I don't think it's just in New York City. I think it's everywhere. I haven't taken an Uber recently, but the last time I almost considered taking an Uber, they tried charging me almost $30. I think that's surge pricing because of the difference in time of day, but woof. I walked home instead. I wasn't going to take an Uber for that. Fraud cost the insurance industry $308.6 billion in 2022, up from $80 billion in 1995, according to an analysis commissioned by the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud. Look, I know that there's going to be a lot of talk about insurance companies being shady shit too, and I'll agree with it, especially recently. But insurance fraud is also a huge problem in itself. Like, come on, guys. Fraud is a problem in itself. Forget insurance fraud. The amount of fraud that happens on gig platforms in general is something that needs to be addressed as well. But here's the reality. Why is Uber play victim when fraud is committed against them, but then they allow fraud to happen on their platform? Pick a lane. Are you creating a space for fraud to take place, or are you condoning it? Uber told New York City's tax regulator in December that proposed changes to commercial auto insurance requirements could leave drivers unable to insure their vehicles. I almost had that issue, not for my personal vehicle, but for a couple of trucks that I have. They tried to boost my insurance from $880 something a month because I was helping out with Hurricane Helene and Milton cleanup, to where they tried to boost the cost of everything up over $5,000. $5,000. Are you serious? That is straight fraud for so many different reasons. The company asked the Taxi and Limousine Commission to be lenient on the adoption deadline for the proposed rules to allow existing policies to remain valid until they expire and to lower personal injury protection limits. Uber reported in quarterly earnings released October 31st that its membership program Uber One had seen 70% year-over-year increase in membership and had more than 25 million members. The company also said it was looking beyond major cities for additional growth. It's funny that you say that because I feel like every time I read articles about Uber recently, it's them suing somebody. They sued Doordash for anti-competitive lawsuit. They are suing insurance companies for allowing so much fraud and raising prices for that reason. But if you allow fraud on the platform, there's going to be fraud taking place. That's just reality. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. Uber should have 100% not be allowing fraud on their own platform. If you're going to create a space where fraud takes place and you condone it in some areas, you're condoning it in all areas. And you should be accepting the repercussions as follows. That also said, those who commit fraud need to fucking stop. And that's not even just about the company either. That's about every industry ever, being the gig workers, being customers, being restaurants, being people who are using rideshare on any platform in any industry. I haven't even touched retail or anything outside of the gig economy in those examples, but still. But the problem is that you gotta know how to protect yourself from these things. That is why a lot of times I go over these things on my channel. Like whenever a story pops up about fraud that has been taking place in the gig economy, I make a point about it because they don't make this loud enough until they're the victim, and in which case they're crying about it. But you know what they're doing, and I gotta give them credit where credit is due? They see that there's a problem and they're making noise about it to sway public opinion. Even if it is doublespeak and even if it is everything that BC is saying, the reality is that it is a smart business move for them to make it publicly known that they are the ones in the wrong. being the insurance companies. Insurance companies do try to pull malicious things, and that is something that I have experienced myself. So it does go both ways. Although I will say this, it does seem like Uber's pulling a lot of desperate moves recently in terms of the lawsuits they're filing against other companies, where I am concerned for the future of Uber. I would say if there has ever been a time to diversify your gig portfolio and develop an exit strategy, today is that day. One of the best places you can accomplish that is through the Driven Wyld Discord server. The Driven Wyld Discord community is exclusive for gig workers looking to expand their knowledge and expertise in their self-employment and entrepreneurial journeys. I've partnered with high-level professionals to bring you some of the most exclusive benefits based on your personal needs as a gig worker. Exclusive professional opportunities and gig postings. More live streams with high-level professionals in our industry. Educational systems designed to help you build your own dispatch company as well as other scalable opportunities. Driven Wyld has also kicked off its Build Your Own Delivery Service Provider course, and we are changing the game and transforming how businesses serve customers and how gig workers get more opportunities. So whether you're a gig worker looking for more opportunities to earn or an exit strategy because the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not the goal, and you would like to see something with more growth potential and scalability, there's something here for you. Check the link in the description to get started with making the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. We are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.